This is the new Mercedes-Benz CLS, and not just any CLS, but the range-topping 435 horsepower V6 AMG CLS 53 Futuramatic Plus. Breathe in. Doesn't sound like much, since the previous gen AMG CLS had around 570 horsepower. Yes, but if for whatever reason you want a four-door coupe these days with around 600 horsepower, Mercedes will offer you a completely different car, which is called, here it comes, Mercedes-AMG GT four-door coupe. These days, only Apple has worse naming schemes for its new iPhone.
But let's get back to the CLS, which started the four-door premium coupe thing back in 2004. Someone concluded it's hard to justify spending a lot of money on a two-door car, so it's going to be easier to justify buying an expensive four-door car. And this is how Mercedes-Benz CLS was conceived, a car with a sporty character, but still elegant and discreet.
Okay, AMG CLS 53 is not exactly discreet. When I first saw it in the metal, I thought about Pulp Fiction and Jules's wallet. Although upon closer inspection, there are a few minor annoyances. Audi A6 has fake exhaust tips, and Mercedes has fake air outlets behind the rear fenders. By the way, it was the same in the previous generation.
Grille is larger than air intake and cooling would require, so half of the grille is also permanently covered. This is the way car designers work these days. Fascia is important because it makes the car stand out from afar, but what's going to happen when electric cars become mainstream and the grille will become obsolete? Otherwise, I like the aggressive front, long bonnet, slender line which no longer has ponton-like rear fenders, sharply drawn headlights, long swung boot lid, here emphasized with a spoiler. Thanks to the aerodynamic shape, the CLS has a drag coefficient of 0.26. Mercedes boasts it pioneered the four-door premium coupe segment, which allowed to be a generation ahead of everyone. Is that good? Previous generation was smaller than Audi A7 and BMW 6 Series Grand Coupe. The new CLS was launched after the competition has shown its cards, so theoretically Mercedes could have offered a larger car packed with all the latest tech. Is it bigger? At 5 meters in length, almost 190 centimeters wide and more than 290 centimeters wheelbase, the CLS is more or less the same as the competition. There's no point making it any larger. Okay, enough talking, let's drive!
From behind the wheel, you don't realize you're driving a larger car. Okay, it's not a Fiat 500, obviously, but I don't feel like I'm driving a Landjacht. I loved the previous generation CLS for how engaging it was to drive, by Mercedes standards anyway. However, that was more than 3 years ago, and since then Mercedes has started making cars for people who are not on life support.
AMG CLS 53 is on the verge of comfortable. I get it, it's supposed to be sporty yet comfortable. For me the ride is tad too hard. I don't mind as long as I can put it in some cushy comfort mode. And the seats, the sport seats are too hard. After a 6 hours motorway drive, I felt like someone beat me on the back. Steering, like in many cars these days, is precise but numb, same as in the previous generation.
This test car is not equipped with the acoustic comfort package, which includes laminated windows all around. It's not loud inside, but at the same time it's not noticeably quiet. However, as far as the soundtrack goes, oh yes. Mercedes do know their exhausts, and this one sounds more like a WRC car than a limo. An interesting fact, you can order your CLS with an electrically extending towing hitch, even in AMG line trim, not this AMG CLS 53 Futuramatic Plus, obviously, but AMG line nonetheless.
Mercedes promises 9.5 liters per 100 kilometers combined, that's around 25 mpg, and that's probably the first time since I got into cars that I can say about a Mercedes, that's about realistic. I got a similar result in BMW 540i. AMG CLS53 is slightly faster from 0 to 100 km per hour, 4.5 instead of 4.8 seconds. However, it's also over 200 kilograms heavier, so the extra 95 horses have a lot of weight to pull around. This CLS weighs just under 2 tons with the driver. Definitely specify a larger 80-liter fuel tank.
What about tech? Mercedes boasts multi-beam LED headlights. They're very intelligent and they light the road in such a way that they don't blind other drivers. Yes, back in the day this tech debuted in Mercedes CLS, but other manufacturers... Oh, that's a really fast Ford car there. But other manufacturers have something similar these days as well. And yeah, I don't think it's something you appreciate from sitting behind the wheel. It's what others appreciate.
Driver aids are also the same as in many other cars. In my opinion, active lane assist is a bit too obtrusive at higher speeds. I appreciate cruise control will slow down before a sharper corner. Again, I've seen this in other cars. When approaching a speed limit or urban area, you'll see a little green icon telling you to take your foot off the accelerator. I saw this first in an Audi a few years back. I wish CLS had a haptic gas pedal like in the GLC hybrid I tested a few months back. But haptic gas pedal is for hybrid Mercs only. Speaking of hybrid, this CLS uses a 48-volt mild hybrid system called EQ Boost, which, under the right conditions, allows you to coast with the engine off. Mercedes calls it sailing mode, and helps reduce turbo lag upon acceleration.
Remotely unique to Mercedes is using your NFC-enabled smartphone instead of a key, as well as a mobile parking app. I've seen both in action during the Mercedes E-Class Estate launch event a couple of years ago, but I never got to test it myself. Now, in this car, remote parking was not active and we could not activate it during my week with the car, and NFC... it just wouldn't work for whatever reason. I consider myself a relatively patient person, but I wasted more than an hour of my time and the time of the Mercedes PR assistant. We just couldn't get this thing to work. I think this allows me to call the setup unnecessarily complicated. Perhaps BMW is right to offer a huge, yet moderately intelligent key fob. I don't know, you tell me in the comments below.
I like CLS interior. I like the double display, even though steering wheel and my right hand cover some of the sat-nav info. I like how you use these tiny touchpads on the steering wheel to control the onboard computer. You can browse through all sorts of data and settings and change the display themes, which takes a few seconds, not a minute, like in a Citroën C4 Picasso.
At a push of a button, you can use voice commands, but I still think it's a bit of a gimmick. Hey Mercedes works only in the new A-Class and the new Sprinter.
I don't like how handwriting input works. By default, you have to use the rotating dial. Handwriting recognition has to be activated for each field separately, and confirmation requires you to go up rather than into one of the bottom corners. I bet it's something you can get used to, but I find it counterintuitive.
Something you can't feel across the screen, but I can tell you, there's an air freshener or a perfume dispenser in the glove box. Now, it smells really nice, but judging by the car's mileage and how much of the perfume is left in this €80 bottle, you're going to spend a lot of money to keep your car smelling posh.
And there is also the 3D surround Burmeister audio system with speakers on the roof. It sounds amazing, it looks funky, and of course you're going to dish out €5,800 for it, because why not?
I feel the whole back seat is just for show. The rear pair of doors is for the client to justify to him or herself an expensive purchase, but not really to carry anyone back here. I'm 175 centimeters tall, or short, haha, and legroom at the moment is okay, but headroom is bad. Already room for my feet is poor as well. On the plus side, if you're sitting on the right side and there is no one in the front, the driver can control the front passenger seat and give you more legroom.
There's an armrest with some storage and cup holders. Middle of the seat can fold away to carry longer items, but this is the only part that folds from here. The rest folds from the boot. The boot is about 500 liters, there are no shopping bag hooks, and anchor points are so far back, I don't expect anyone will actually use them. Opening and closing can be done by swinging your foot under the bumper, as well as by key or button on the lid. Mercedes-Benz CLS prices start at €60,000, AMG 53 starts at 84, but this car, with options, costs around €116,000.
I like how Mercedes-Benz CLS looks from the outside and inside, how it sounds and how it drives, but it lacks something which would make it feel special. And what do you think about the new CLS? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share and do all the stuff which will help me come up higher in YouTube search. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.